You've never heard of the Millennium Falcon? Should I have? It's a ship that made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Kessel Run Weekly. My name is Danny.
And I'm Kristen.
And welcome to our Resistance review episode. So we are reviewing Season 1, Episode 4, High Tower.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, it's fun. Really fun.
I feel like I'm blinking with my eyes open.
Without any power, I can't get anything done.
How long is this gonna keep up?
This isn't accidental. I know who's behind this. Captain Doza. I think he's one of them, sitting up there in his high tower. They have power up there. We don't.
What are you talking about?
Isn't it obvious? You see the ships coming to visit him at night? Doza is part of the First Order.
So Kristen, first impressions, what did you think of this one?
I knew you were going to say that. I almost wanted to be like, first thoughts, Danny, first thoughts! I almost wanted to yell it at you so you could
I
go
will
first.
forever throw it at you first.
And I literally almost yelled it out so loud, though, that way you couldn't ask me first.
It is the way of things.
I'm getting pretty excited, honestly. This was a very, I can't really say necessarily it was action-packed, but
it kind of was, though, in a way.
I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on, like, how you look at action.
Okay.
Like, to me,
it wasn't like Die Hard level or
that's
anything.
what I'm saying. Like, to me, action sequence would be like racing or like flying scenes or like running scenes or something like that. And to me, yes, there was a lot of things going on, but to me, it wasn't quite like super action packed. But there were a lot of like, oh gosh, oh no, kind of like kind of moments.
Thriller stuff.
Yeah, kind of in a way, not quite like super scary, but it was good. And I'm excited. I feel like we're starting to move along with the timeline here, and we're starting to kind of get somewhere with the series.
Well, yeah, because just last week you were saying how you just wanted to move forward and get something going and really start to learn about stuff, and this was some meaty story right here.
Yeah, it was. So I think that's pretty exciting.
Definitely. My first impressions, I mean, are with you. I was very excited. I'm really excited to see where it's going because we finally actually get kind of some spy thriller kind of things. Kaz is up to his usual hijinks. But we get to see the First Order and a little bit of what's actually going on, and Kaz gets some information and all that kind of stuff. Like, things are actually moving, which is really cool.
Yes, very cool. I'm pretty excited, mainly because, like, I don't know, I feel like, though, this is going to be one of those instance. Am I saying that right?
Sure.
Instances?
Yes,
you know?
instances.
I feel like it's going to be one of those instances where it's like trying to pull us in, and it's like, oh, all these people are saying that this one person, you know, does business with the First Order. But then we're going to turn around and it's going to be like, no, I would never do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to be like a twist. Like, it's not going to be the person we think it is. Exactly. It's a trap. Hey. So, yeah, I think it's going to be like we think it's something that it's not, essentially, now. Because
definitely.
I feel like it's too harped on at the moment.
Okay. Well, I mean, that said, I think we should go ahead and just start diving in. And kind of let's see what we can do to unpack this episode. So, in a nutshell, the First Order has come to the Colossus. They're bringing fuel. Apparently, there's a fuel shortage, which I thought the Colossus was a fuel depot. So I was kind of like, so there's I guess you can have a fuel shortage at the gas station. So
exactly, it doesn't harvest the gas.
I mean, your daddy is a gas man, so
he is. He transports more oil now than gas, but
okay.
No, I'm just kidding. More diesel than anything.
Yeah.
But
So I mean, yeah, I can imagine that you could still have shortages, and so first of the episode, they are under a 100-hour power restriction,
which sounds kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's at least 4 days and a couple hours.
Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty serious, and I mean, we even see later in the episode one of the characters even mentions that there's a curfew now because of it.
Yeah,
and stuff like that because the power's out, and I mean, you can't do anything,
which makes everything sound more suspicious too when that curfew comes up.
Oh, definitely. It sounds like they're hiding something.
It does. Like be indoors, you can't see what's about to go on outside. Like
exactly. You might not like what you find.
Yes.
But yeah, and so in all that, I mean, our heroes, Kaz, Tam, and Niku, which by the way, Niku learns the way of communication, instant communication.
Oh my
with
gosh.
his best friend Kaz.
So funny. He like is on the other side of a door pretty much, and it's like, "Hey, Kaz, can you hear me?" And then walks closer with these comms, and then, like it makes that terrible like
oh yeah
cuss sound, almost like how when mics and stuff like
we've done that a couple of times.
Yes, we have. Honestly, we have. That was terrible, but I don't know. This one, Kaz is he's coming along as a character. I feel like, and then Nico, he I don't know if I had to make a scale and put Nico on it, he was rising on my scale considering the first episode, because like I said, I remember telling
first episode you really didn't like him.
No, he reminded me a lot of Jar Jar.
Yeah,
with his like clumsiness, his like just annoyance, and just I don't know. I was just kind of like ugh. And then he kind of started coming back up because maybe it's because we saw less of him.
Oh no!
But I mean, he's still funny. He's still sweet. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not like, oh, he's just terrible. But I mean, he just kind of hits those nerves with me sometimes.
Okay.
Just some of the things he does. He's just like clumsy, I guess, in a way.
Well, I mean, to me, he's kind of that innocence, and he's very naive. So that's why he's like, we can talk to each other anytime we want. And Kaz is like, yeah, totally, dude. Thanks, man. It's like that friend that doesn't have friends, and you become friends, and now you're the only friend.
That's annoying.
But I mean, he means well, and
I don't know.
yeah.
I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm just saying like,
I'll
there's
defend
things.
Niku. I'll defend
Well,
Niku.
you defend. I'm just saying sometimes he does things. I'm just
I
like
love Niku.
But
well, I mean, and to your point, I mean, like with Niku, like some of the stuff he does is funny and things like that, but most of it's just kind of, oh, Niku.
or you're like, no.
Yeah, it's like, don't do that.
Like
for example, so they hear that the First Order is bringing in a shipment of fuel into the depot, and Kaz is like, I've got to find out why the First Order's coming to the Colossus, and Niku's like, I'll go ask them. And he's like, no, Niku, no. And then Niku's like, hi, my friend wants to know why you're here.
Yes, like, oh my gosh.
I love the Stormtroopers' reaction too.
You're not authorized to be here. Move along.
Classic Stormtrooper.
Oh, classic Stormtroopers.
But yeah, so all of it's kind of like strange because this is the first time that Kaz has heard that this happens. Because we meet Hype Phazon for the first time. That's actually how we learn about all this.
Yes, it is. Yeah, we meet Hype Phazon. He's in that little bar.
Auntie Z's?
Yes. And he comes in, and Kaz has this like boy crush like meltdown, I guess, kind of. I don't know, like this little
completely like
fan.
fans out.
Yeah, he does. I didn't mean like legit boy crush, but he has like this like just complete like melt with Phazon. Like he's just like freaks out, like he's the coolest thing in the world. So he kind of chats him up, and is like, oh, I'm gonna go over and talk to him, and then Tam is like, oh, don't, he's a jerk, I don't like him.
Yeah,
like,
they got a history.
Yeah, and so everything leads to them just being friends, essentially, and it's kind of like when Hype got his, like, I don't know, his strut, I guess.
Yeah.
When he started racing and winning and winning and winning, it seems like he kind of left her behind, which is sad, but, I mean, there's probably something more to it.
I was going to say, that's a story that I'm really interested in finding out. Whether they do it as kind of like a side thing or something like that, because like to Hype, like even later in the episode he kind of seemed like he had a big head about it and stuff like that and everything. At the same time, I don't know, like I kind of still got the impression that he felt for her still.
Yeah.
Like he still wanted to be a friend, but he's kind of like disconnected.
Yeah. I think so too. But yeah, I'm definitely more interested to know a little bit more about that story and that relationship there. Because first I was like, girlfriend? And then I was like, maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah.
I mean, those lips, though.
Them Rhodian lips. Oh my god.
It was funny.
But yeah, so we get hype phase on and everything, and like you said, Kaz is kind of just fanboying over him, and so he basically everything's happening with the First Order, and Kaz is like, "Hey, you're an ace. The ace is bringing shipments. Why aren't you out there?" He's like, "Well, me and Doza have a understanding that when they're here, I'm not." And he's like, "Well, who's they?" The First Order. And it's just like, dun dun dun.
Right. Well, first, wasn't it the lady at the bar? I can't remember her name worth anything. You said it a minute ago.
Yeah, Auntie Z. Yeah,
Auntie
she mentioned
Z.
something about the First Order bringing in shipments.
Well,
and
not
stuff.
just that. She had mentioned that what's his face? Doza up in the tower and all that power stuff like that, and essentially saying that he's got to be working with the First Order or something like that.
Oh yeah, because the Tower Doza still has power while the rest of the station is out. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. When the power started kind of flickering back and forth, and they were like, "Oh, that's when it went out, wasn't it?" Mm-hmm. So it was out.
Yeah.
So the power was out.
It would come on and then go back out, and then come on and then go back out.
Okay, that's what I thought. Because then that's what the guy was like, "It's like I'm blinking with my eyes open." You know what? I felt that so much though. I felt that so much though. Like I did. Yeah. Like, do you not like when the power flickers like really crazy like that? It's like it's crazy because you're like you feel like you're blinking, but you're sitting there like, but my eyes are open. Like, I felt that like 100% for real.
You having an out of body experience?
I was like, I connected this man on Resistance right now. Me and this man have a real connection.
Oh my god.
Wig. I'm just joking, but
goodness,
I know. But yeah, I did. I related with that. So she's the first one that kind of mentioned something about him, you know, having to work with the First Order because his power's still on. And then like maybe 5 minutes later, Phazon walks in, and that's when he's like, "Oh, I don't do shipment when they're here."
Yeah.
That's not like high and mighty, which it may not even be that. It may be more so like I just don't want to associate with that.
Well, I wonder what his background is with that. Like, has he had run-ins, or does he know what the First Order really is?
Surely. I mean, surely he wouldn't just deny to do something like that, not knowing anything about them. Like, he has to have like a grudge of some sort against them. So I feel like there's something there too that maybe we'll find out later on. So kind of after his little fanboy's over, they kind of split ways, and Phazon kind of leaves. I think he's just going somewhere. I think he's going to meet a friend. I don't know, whatever he's doing. Blah, blah, blah. I don't remember, honestly.
He's going to do the thing.
He's going to do the thing, exactly. It's so funny. Kaz actually realizes that Kaz realizes that the First Order's arriving. So he's like thinking of this way to get outside. It's so funny. Because he's like, well, I gotta go. And then his friends are like, why? And he's like, BB-8, his battery's dying. You know, low battery, no power, you know. And it's so funny because BB-8 looks really confused at first. And the next thing you know, BB-8's head's kind of just like moving around like, like he's dying. And then he falls over. And it's so funny.
Baby.
Right.
That's what it reminded me of.
Harry baby. Harry baby. Yes. Legit. It was so funny though, because I don't know, like I feel like we've seen some funny sides of BB-8, but I don't feel like we've seen anything quite like that.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of personality, but we've never seen it to that magnitude. Or he's like, my battery's low. Oh, my battery's low.
Right.
Got it.
And watch him kind of just like
act casual.
Right. And I just feel like that's the first time we've really seen him have to do something like that. You know what I mean? So that was really cute, and I totally laughed way too hard at that. So he makes that excuse to get out, and he walks outside, and he's watching the First Order land, and as he's walking out, there's that guy, he walks by and says something about the curfew, and that's sketchy. And he's like, hey man, it's dark outside, there's a curfew.
So talking about the curfew real quick, so what I thought, there's kind of two sides of it. So it's the playing it up as the safety side of it, because I mean there are
Pirates?
pirates, or there are some undesirables. I mean, it's almost like giving a curfew to Mos Eisley on Tatooine. So I mean, there are some kind of shady people on there that could cause some trouble. So I get it, but I feel like it's more of a veil for the First Order, because you and I know what the First Order can do, and so it's not stranger to us. And so when they're landing, it's like, dang, stuff's happening. So I feel like that's more of what the curfew's for, though, because especially with Tower Doza still being lit up and all the dealings are being done there, it's almost like, hey, come inside, there's a curfew. I don't want you to see what's actually happening or how we have to get what we have to get, kind of stuff like that. So it's like shady for the shady. Like,
I don't know. I don't know yet. It's kind of, I didn't feel like I got a lot of answers in this. I feel like I had more questions after watching this episode. But I'm just glad it's heading in the right direction now.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess, like, I don't know. I wasn't really thinking of it like that. I mean, it definitely could be taken that way. But I think I was more, you know, the reason I say, like, it could be taken that way is because that's what the episode leaned towards. Was it trying to be, like, this big secret? Like, oh my gosh, Doza's definitely working with the First Order. Like, but like I said, I think this is a front. I think this is something that's gonna turn around, twist back, and it's gonna be like, oh, no, like, he had the best intentions all along. So, like they did in The Last Jedi with Holdo. They kind of made her seem like she was the bad guy. But then turns around and she does, like, the coolest thing possible. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's one of those situations where, like, it's pointing, like, every direction's, like, kind of pointing to him, but it's not that way. So, I mean, I think it could be a safety thing, because, I mean, think about, like, if New York City's, like, the lights just went out and nobody knew why. Obviously, it'd be a curfew.
No, definitely,
during any, like, disasters, there's curfews, because it's safer. And if there's pirates, if they know the lights went out, you know what I mean? Like, they don't even know what was causing the power outage, maybe. So it could be pirates. And so they're like, well, you know, they could be planning an attack, so let's make sure we get
So you
inside.
think it was more from a safety point of view?
I think so, but
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I might be wrong. Never know. So I like how that guy, like, ran inside. I was like, there's a curfew.
And Kaz is just kind of like, oh, really?
Like,
It's
all right.
almost like an invitation for Kaz to not do it.
Right.
Oh, there's a curfew. One more rule for me to break.
Right. And that's when Tam and Nico somehow make their way outside. I was a little confused by that, though, because there was really no reason for them to come outside. They just kind of popped up and they're like, oh, what are you doing out here? And someone was like, what are you doing out here?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
that's what I
could
would've
ask you the
asking.
same question.
Right. Like, that would have been my response. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
Following me? But in that moment, though, when Kaz was trying to, like, think of something to say, and he kind of kept getting into watching the First Order to kind of see what they're doing, and around the time when he said something like, I gotta find out why they're there, like, right before the Nico thing, I feel like for just half a second, he forgot that nobody knew he was a spy.
Yep.
Because
Absolutely.
I feel like he was about to, like, just be like, oh, I gotta find out for Poe, I gotta find out for the Resistance.
Yeah.
The New Republic.
Yeah. No, I agree. There were multiple times in this episode where I was like, get it together, Kaz. You
Right.
gotta quit. You gotta stop talking out loud.
Right.
Which, I mean, I get it. Internal monologue. We gotta know what's going on. But at the
True.
same time, it's like, okay, if we can hear you, Kaz, there are people nearby who can hear you.
Right.
So-
Other people can probably hear you. Like,
Yeah.
you're in a giant tower that has probably cameras everywhere, and you're going to tell me there's no microphones?
Right. And you're just gonna hide behind the corner.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he definitely forgot in that moment, though, and I think he almost revealed entirely too much to Tam and Nico.
Absolutely.
Luckily, he got it back together real quick and realized, oh, crap, I'm the only one that knows I'm a spy. And, you know, reeled it back in. But it was funny when Nico went to go ask the First Order.
I love that.
My friend wants to know why you're here.
You're unauthorized. Move along.
Right.
Yeah. But so moving toward Tower Doza.
Yes.
So we actually get our first look in Tower Doza.
We do.
And our first look at a few of the pirates. I mean, not pirates, ace pilots.
Yes.
So, yeah.
You meant pilots, not pirates.
Yeah, pilots. Got pirates on the
Yeah,
brain.
they get invited in by Faison. They're like, he's like, I'll invite you in as my special guest or something like that.
Yeah.
So they get to walk in.
Which real quick,
Yeah.
did you notice that he said you and your two friends, and there was a droid with them, though? They didn't acknowledge BB-8.
Oh.
Droid's rights.
I mean,
I just thought that was interesting. That it was like for you and your two friends, and BB-8's like, bruh.
I'm rolling right here.
Yeah.
See, he's not really standing, I guess.
Yeah. It landed.
Thanks. Okay, making sure there. Making sure.
So they move into, or not move into, they go into Tower Doza.
They sure do. We kind of get a look inside. We get a quick glimpse of a lot of the pilots, which is really cool. You can see their droids. They don't really talk to him though. We realize there's a few other droids running around, like taking around some like drinks and food, and Kaz doesn't know how to act, and he like literally almost eats a tray. Not really, but he's like literally scooping up food like he hasn't eaten in days. Which I mean, that might be kind of accurate though. I mean, I don't know how it works there. Like, you know, if he's getting paid by
life is supposed to be rougher.
Yeager, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
he is getting paid by Yeager, yeah.
Yeah, but is he using the money to get food? You know what I mean? Like, maybe he hasn't really eaten much because he's doing other things. You never know.
I mean, he is a walking stick figure, so.
You are right.
But how about Griff Halloran's droid, though? I don't know why I didn't notice that before. I want to say that was in a trailer, but, like, it's an astromech mixed with a probe droid.
Yeah, like a probe head, right?
Crap? Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
That thing looked horrifying.
Yeah, I want to find I need to go back and look through the pictures and see if I can find like a still of it, because I think that was really cool. I do hate that we didn't really get any talkings of them. They were kind of having their own conversations about
from the rest of the aces.
Yeah. And but it was still cool seeing them finally. And then we get First Order actually walk into Doza Tower, like into like the section where Doza's actually at. And Kaz notices this and decides to follow.
Of course he does.
And Tam's like
in his
still
infinite wisdom,
right? And Tam's still having her like, "Woe is me!" Like, Phazon's a meanie head. Like, he's a jerk, self-centered, da-da-da-da, I'm leaving, I don't want to be here anymore. So she, like, looks for Kaz and realizes he's not there. She leaves anyway. She don't care.
Yeah.
She don't care.
Yeah. And then, so Kaz has snuck away. He is following Von Reg. Actually, so our red TIE pilot's shown up. He's following Von Reg and two stormtroopers. They go into Captain Doza's quarters. And
look at that.
And before they do, though, Kaz goes up to one of the little server droids. He's like, "Hey, droid, what's up, man? Long time no see. Have you lost some weight?" Come on, Kaz, really?
Right.
And like the whole time he's sitting here being buddy with it, the droid's just kind of like, "I don't know what the heck's going on," and he sets Niku's comm on the platter so that way he can spy. Which when he did that, I was like, you know what? Good on you, Kaz. It's like your first official spy move that you haven't blown completely. Which hold your horses.
Right. Don't hold your breath, because Lord knows he's gonna do it again.
Right. But yeah, so he kind of gets to listen in on the conversation and stuff. And Von Reg's trying to shake down Doza.
He is. We don't get a whole bunch of information from it, other than the fact that Von Reg's like, "You're gonna need us. Like, we can protect you. You got pirates coming at you. You're running out of fuel."
Which is interesting, because he said the pirate attacks are becoming more frequent. You're not going to be able to handle them before long. You need our protection. Which, if you remember, they're the ones sending the pirates. They're the ones that employed the pirates.
Oh my God, you're right.
Oh, you didn't put that together?
Like, no, I'm telling you, I don't ever put things together like that until like we get to sit down and talk about it, and then I'm like,
that's why we're a good team. But yeah, they're the ones sending the pirates. They're the ones causing the issue that they need protection from.
Right, because didn't we figure that out like in episode 2? And that's the one where the pirates showed up?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, this is episode 4, so I feel like it wasn't episode 3. Right?
No, Fuel for the Fire. No, that was all Rucklin and everything with the coaxium. So yeah, I think it was in episode 2.
I don't think one. I think it was too soon, but I think it was 2 where we saw the pirates.
Yeah.
That's crazy though. So yeah, that's what. See, and that's what I was about to say too. Honestly, I forgot about those pirates, but I was gonna say, I bet the First Order, is like behind this, just because of the fact that they're gonna want someone to feel vulnerable, so the way they can want their protection.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what they're doing. So I mean, they're basically bullying the Colossus and everything, and bullying Doza into trying or having no choice but to, in order to save his way of life, accepting First Order quote unquote protection, which is a separatist tactic too that we see throughout the Clone Wars, where the separatists basically like send like bounty hunters or like pirates and stuff like that to different systems, and then show up as like, we are your saviors.
Yeah.
So I mean, First Order's taking a page out of their book.
I mean,
yeah.
One of the same.
I mean, a little bit, yeah.
Pretty much, though. Yeah.
So, in the other side of this, too, so we were talking about Doza. It kind of seemed like, oh, man, he's working for the First Order. They all kind of leaned into that. So, the conversation, the way I took it, is that he doesn't want them there. It's almost like a reluctant necessity.
Yeah.
Like, you have what I need, and this is how I get it. And now, Von Reg's like, hey, man, so, that stuff that we've been supplying you, we're going to stop doing that unless you completely let us move in.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the mob boss who wants, I don't know, your sandwiches or something. Like,
why did we go from mob boss to, like, a kid's lunch? Give me your money, kid.
I don't know. I was just thinking, like, how, like, in a lot of the shows and movies, mob bosses will, like, want you to make or do certain things for them, and they threaten like your livelihood or your safetyhood. Essentially, they threaten your family, or they come to bring you harm in order to scare you into to do what you want. And that's essentially how the First Order works. They're just a giant bully.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
we don't take bullies.
We don't like bullies here.
But yeah, so. He kind of pushes back on Von Reg a little bit, kind of like, okay, cool, you're gonna do this. Well, that's not what we want. And basically, Von Reg's like, well, you'll come, you'll come crawling, kind of things like that. Because
Cocky.
That's the thing, though, is that he has all of it in his court right now.
He does,
because he's the one controlling the stress that he's sending to Doza to cause Doza to come to Von Reg.
Right. So he's just going to send in some heavier pirates or something, or he's going to make something crazy happen in order for the Colossus to not feel safe anymore. And then, I mean, I feel like if anything, he'll cause like a mini riot or something. You know what I mean? Like invoke like, not to say violence, but when you put fear in people, they will do
drastic things.
And
well, what's funny is it's funny that you mentioned that, because the second that they showed that Tower Doza still had power and everyone else was without it, the first thing I thought of was like, how are they going to keep people from rioting and like storming Tower Doza?
I mean,
because there's more of them than there is in Tower Doza.
Right. Like, this tower's pretty big, y'all. I think we can fit. Let's go.
I know, right? And they got all the fixins up there, so that's why I was kind of like, What's stopping you? But curfew.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to break curfew. So, I mean, that would keep me back,
that's
too.
That's a staple of our society.
Right.
No one breaks curfew.
Exactly.
Ever.
Like, and, you might get thrown off.
Yep.
If you break curfew.
Yeah. You never know what happens after curfew.
Yes.
But yeah,
So, Von Reg pretty much walks out, like, not necessarily disappointed, but I think he's just like planning like what he's gonna do next, even though he doesn't say anything. Nothing really happens other than walking out.
Well, he holds all the cards.
He does.
Again,
so I mean, he walks out pretty confident. I feel like, because he's like, okay, well, you'll come begging later, kind of situation.
Absolutely.
And we get that droid that Kaz put the comm on, coming back out, and a little too late, he realizes that both the comms are on and they're in range of each other.
Yay.
So it causes that like loud
feedback,
feedback noise, which in turn brings the First Order and Von Reg's attention back to figure out what in the world that noise is. And they look, and then there's Kaz frantically like juggling the comms, trying to figure out what to do. And he's like, "Get him!"
Yep.
get that kid or something like that. So he takes off running.
Yep. Which ensues in like a really cool kind of chase and everything. And at first they try to stun.
At first.
So good on you, First Order. Not going for the kill first. That changes quickly, though.
It really does.
They're like, you know what? Nah, we just want you dead now.
Yeah, so he's running for his life, like, just stun guns at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And a droid actually pops out from a door and it's like, what's all the commotion?
Yeah.
And he runs into that room that the droid came out of. Turns out it is...
Tower Doza's room.
Yes, which is so funny because...
It gives us such an awkward situation.
It does. Because he's trying to figure out, like, what to say. And she's like, oh, I know why you're here. And he's just like, you do? Yeah, I do.
Well, so she doesn't
sure?
She doesn't even say it like all happy and everything. Like it gets uncomfortable for a second.
It does, but it's so funny. They just kind of go back
She's
and
like,
forth.
I know why you're here. He's like, you do, and she's kind of leaning in, and it's kind of looking like there's like a romance that's about to happen.
No,
I'm like,
doesn't.
what?
I
To
didn't
me,
even
it
get
did.
that.
To me, I
didn't
was
even-
like, this is a little weird.
Why would she be leaning in for a romance when she turns around 2 seconds later and says, I think I'm giving you the wrong impression or the wrong idea.
That's what I'm saying. I think that was the goal of the whole thing, was to make it seem like she's like, I know why you're here, Kaz. You're here for me. You love me. I love you. But that wasn't the case, obviously.
No, I didn't get that at all. You don't know
That's what I got. Because it made me uncomfortable.
You don't know how to read girls' cues. Not even sure how you got me at this point.
I put a ring on it, so I've been out of practice for a little while.
It's true. It's true.
But I mean, yeah. So she's like, well, I think I've given you the wrong impression, Kaz. And he's just kind of like, wait, what? No, what? No, I'm running for my life.
Knock.
Yeah.
First Order, open up.
Yep. And then he heads. I think she even mentioned something about like if her dad found him there or something like that.
Like he'd kill him.
Yeah.
Essentially. So she opens this giant window and just like, bye. And he like kind of comes over the edge and she closes it.
Yeah.
And he almost lost his poor fingers, I think. Mm-hmm. And so he lands on this edge and here he is like kind of sliding, like.
And this commences the platforming side of the game.
Right. Which at this part it's really funny because after a few minutes of him sliding, against the edge, he gets noticed by everyone over at Auntie Z's.
Yeah.
It's just so funny because then they start placing bets. And it's just like, $10 will fall off. I bet you 20, 30, 40, 50. Do I hear 90?
Yeah.
Like, they just keep going.
Yeah.
Cracks me up. So they're watching him, and then at some point he starts kind of running because he realizes there's like edges that he has to kind of jump towards. And he gets around he jumps around 2 of them, and then next thing we know, he's like not face to face necessarily, but some of the stormtroopers end up like above him.
They found him, yeah.
And at this point, I was like, ooh, because we realize at this point they're not even going to stun anymore. They are blasting.
Shoot to kill. Yep.
Yeah, it's like shoot to kill at this point because they're like, we have to find that kid.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me wonder why they felt like they needed to find him so bad, because there wasn't any like really good, information that was given in that room. I feel like, you know what I mean?
There wasn't, I think, because the threat for Von Reg, where he's like, oh, well, basically like you'll come crawling back, kind of things like that, where, because Doza even actually goes through and kind of like calls his bluff. He's like, well, what if I just report you to the New Republic? And Von Reg's like, I'll report you to the New Republic.
Oh, yeah, so there's a little bit of information there that can kind of like...
There's a little bit that really could, if it got out to the Colossus or the New Republic, that it could really ruin what the First Order's trying to build. And it could even ruin Doza, to be honest.
That's
so,
true.
yeah.
That's true.
So it wasn't a lot, but it was just enough.
Just enough. I didn't think about that little bit of information. I was thinking about the threatening and the I don't want it kind
It just
of situation.
reminded me when they were going back and forth. It's like, well, what if I reported you to the New Republic? What if I reported you to the New Republic?
The SpongeBob meme?
Yeah.
So funny. I love it. We'll have to pin a picture of. We'll make a meme about it. We'll draw a meme.
Sounds good.
I'll report you to the person. What if I reported you? I already picture it now. I'm gonna go find it in a minute and make
Done.
it. Done. But so at this point he's getting blasted at. They're actually trying to shoot him. Mm-hmm. So he's still having to run. A few really near misses. I couldn't tell. It almost it hit his shoulder. I
think it did, because at one point he kind of dusted his shoulder.
Yeah, but maybe he's wearing
he's got some
metal or something,
armor.
Yeah,
on his
which is kind of weird, but whatever.
I mean, he's basically in the Wild West.
I mean, I guess. So
on
he's like,
water.
pretty much. So poor Kaz is like running for his life, and he's like, you know, trying to get away because they're just like shooting at him, and he ends up at this door where he's like, open, and the next we know it opens, and in there is BB-8. Yay!
BB-8 saves the day again.
Right? The droids are always saving the day.
I'm telling you.
Real
the
heroes.
true heroes.
Yes, true heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those instances I think Danny was talking about where it's like, you probably shouldn't talk so loud to yourself. Because he's like then talking about the conversation, kind of what he heard, and he's like, I need to report this back to Poe. Yeah, he takes off. He ends up back over in the bay where they're working on the ship, and they're like, oh, we're glad you're back. And he's just like, oh, I'm so tired. And then Tam looks at him and is like, what were you doing? Like, you could have died. Like, you're crazy, essentially. And he's just like, eh. And then he kind of just shrugs it off. Like,
he's like, on a day.
Yeah. He just says he ended up in a like unauthorized zone or something. And I did like the fact that Torres stood up for him, though. Mm-hmm. When Von Rig and Doza, came face to face again, he's kind of like, what are you doing? Like, and, why are you essentially chasing this kid around my platform? Like, go away. Yeah. And he's like, Von Rig essentially is like, well, we don't know who he is. He could be a spy or something crazy like that. And Doza's just like, really? Like, don't you think I know what's going on my ship? Yeah. And then Tora steps in and she's like, that's just my friend. He just got lost. Like, he's never been here before. Like, oops. Yeah. Just kind of plays it off. So I like that she, covers them, even though she has no idea what he's doing either. Yeah. Like, for all she knows, he could really, truly be a spy for the First Order or something. I mean, he was a spy, but not for the First Order. So
yeah, it goes back to the whole thing though that Yeager's been saying since the first episode. Though you got to be careful not to attract attention to yourself. They were placing bets from a window, right?
Like everything this kid does just draws attention,
so much attention, and now that finally at the end of the episode, Commander Captain, I think it's Captain Doza. He's in the tower and he's like, "Who are you?" And he's looking at the most flattering picture of Kaz.
Yes.
But he's drawn attention from the highest ranking official on the entire Colossus. Like, I mean, he's just not getting it. Like, it's gonna end up coming to that he's gonna be caught. Right. But we don't know where Doza's allegiance truly lies. We just know he's kind of fed up with the First Order. And we don't know what he's going to attract because we're still looking for a spy. Right. There's still a spy for the First Order somewhere on the Colossus.
Right. And that's why I think with Captain Doza that, that's why I think it's not going to be him, even though there's so many things. No. Like it was just one thing after another, like trying to be like,
it's too easy to make it the big dog.
Exactly, it is. And so I kind of feel like there might be like a Kaz and Captain Doza like alliance coming up. I think he'll find them eventually and be like, "What are you doing?" You know what I mean? And like I feel like Kaz is just gonna be so like scared out of his wits that he's just gonna have to be like, I'm spying or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like he's going to have much of a choice but to kind of tell him the truth. And he's going to be like, yeah, I thought so. I thought there was a, like a First Order spy too. We need to figure out who it is. Yeah. And I feel like there's almost going to be like a team up of some sort. I could be wrong.
I see that coming, to be honest. Eventually he's going to, because, I mean, in all honesty, it's kind of how, in Rebels, how it starts too with the rebellion. They find out that there are little rebel cells that don't know that others exist. And then they connect and form the larger rebellion. And so I'm wondering if that Doza doesn't feel like there's really an option. But if provided another option, maybe he sways to the resistance. And maybe they decide to fight back.
Maybe.
So that's what I'm kind of guessing.
Okay.
I also think it kind of depends on how far into The Force Awakens this goes. Because if it goes all the way to the Hosnian system being blown to shreds, it's going to be a much different series at that point.
Yup.
So, yeah.
So, we'll see. Like I said earlier in the episode, too, I'm excited. I feel like this is now heading in the right direction that we want it to. We're starting to see more characters. We're starting to get into, like, just the grind of it. We're starting to figure out, who could be a spy. First Order
It was
is
an
definitely
exciting episode.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It gave us a lot more information, and so that makes me very, very happy. So,
Absolutely.
Did you have any last thoughts, though, Danny, about it?
No, I'm just really excited about it too. I think so far this one's probably my favorite episode.
I can agree.
This has been the most, and like you mentioned earlier, not necessarily fully action packed necessarily, but it was eventful.
It was.
And
That's
there
a
was
good.
a
That's
lot
a
of-
very
yeah.
good description of it. Because, like I said, when I think of like action packed, like I said, I think about those like fighting scenes or racing scenes, stuff like that. That's just like bam, bam, bam.
Right.
And it wasn't like that, but it was very eventful. There was always something new around every corner.
Absolutely. Definitely. And so I'm really excited to see where the story's going. I think it's really kicking up and it's really moving forward. So we'll have to see what happens next week.
We sure will. But I guess that wraps up our review of our season 1, episode 4, Resistance.
The High Tower.
The High Tower. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for listening or watching another episode of Castle Run Weekly. If you enjoyed this episode or any of our previous episodes, please make sure to rate and review us on iTunes. If you leave us a 5-star review, we will read it on a future episode. You can also find us on social media at Castle Run Weekly on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We also have a website, CastleRunWeekly.com. We do have a little like comment box on our website you can go to. Just leave us a comment about like how we're doing. Really, that'd be a review, but it's okay. We don't mind it either way. Or send us some ideas, or just let us know like what you think about Resistance so far. Like, you love it, you hate it. Like, what's your thoughts? We are always up to talk. We're never gonna try to sway you one way or the other. We just like a good conversation.
Yeah,
just keep it peaceful.
Definitely. I like seeing opposing views. Even if we don't necessarily agree, I like seeing it from a certain point of view.
Right, because everyone's got their own
yeah.
reasons for liking and not liking something. And it's just a matter of figuring out why you don't like it.
So tell us if you're enjoying Resistance.
Yes, we want to know. Tell us what you think so far. And give us maybe some of your theories on it. What do you think is going to happen in the future now that we're getting a little bit more info into what's going on with the First Order and all too?
Absolutely.
So that wraps it up.
And until next time, my name is Danny.
And I'm Kristen.
And may the Force be with you.
Always.